Hey, this is Quavi, life coach for women 50 and over. How's it going? I'm so excited to be here today. My name is Quavi. I'm a life coach for women 50 and over and the creator of an online community called Flourish. And I am on here today. I'm excited. Join in while you can. And I just need to send a message. Okay. Perfect. So, like I said, I'm a life coach for women 50 through 99. I am on a mission to empower women to rediscover their purpose and passion starting now. And not only rediscover their purpose and passion, I want them to start acting, like taking action on their purpose starting now. So, I'm really excited to kind of share some things with you today. I want to share a quick story about one of my friends who she's a hospice nurse. And so we were just talking about, how what happens when patients are close to the end of their life. And she shared a story with me about a lady who shared with her that when she was much younger, she got pregnant. So she got pregnant when she was in as a teenager, and back then when you got pregnant, you kind of got married. Unfortunately, the man she got married to, he didn't want to be married. And, they stayed together for 60 years and he got sick. And when he got sick, not too long after that, he passed away. So they were married for 60 years. And not too long after that, she got involved um, in a relationship. And she was telling my friend, like, she realized being in that particular relationship, she realized that, oh my goodness, I wasted time in a relationship that didn't really matter. And I want to just kind of share that there might be someone out here listening that might be in the same position. It might not even be a relationship, it might be workplace, it might be doing something you don't necessarily want to do, but you just stay there because you think that's the only option you have. And I want you to think about that. Is that really the only option you have? Because sometimes we think that's it, but we don't even open ourselves up to other opportunities that are available to us. And so I want you to really consider that there might be something else for you, that this might not be the end of the road for you. This might not be the only option available. And when she shared that story with me, my heart sunk because when you get to the end, that is the end. Like there's nothing else you can do. That is the end. And typically, when you go to hospice, it's because you're at the end. And so, just to know that, it kind of fired me up to even do the work that I'm doing even more because I really want more women to get to the end of their life saying, you know what, I did it all. I put in my all, I put in more than 100%, and this is it. And listen, if you're on, say hi. I'm in Atlanta, or you can say where you're calling from. I'd love to, where you're viewing from. I'd love to know. And it was just, that just didn't sit well with me when I heard that story. I was like, no, I'm going to do my best to empower as many women as possible and help them rediscover their purpose while they're living and have enough time to act it out. Like, we don't want to be trying to do this at the end. We want to try and do it now so that we can really live into our purpose daily. I'll tell you this, there is something really just something that just makes you feel energized and alive when you wake up every day knowing that you're living your purpose. Like, seriously, like when you know that you are living your purpose, it makes you feel like, oh my goodness, you wake up in the morning, you feel alive, you feel excited about life. And that's what I want for all of you. I want all of you to wake up knowing that, you know what, my life is worth living, as opposed to waking up and thinking, oh, what's next? What am I going to do? What's next? No, none of that. I want you to be able to feel like, oh my word, this is life. And when you're not living in that way, I'll tell you, you know what's happening? You're sleepwalking through life. Like, really, you're sleepwalking through life. Because that's what ends up happening. When you don't live a life that is truly how you're meant to live, you know what you do? You just kind of go through the motions, whatever is happening. In other words, you have no control. The thing is, though, you do have control, but you don't realize you do. And so you give your power away and just say, whatever happens, happens. Like that is a statement that is so disempowering. Like whenever you use that statement, it's so disempowering completely. And so just realizing that you can actually live a life on your own terms. And even when you see a woman living life on her own terms, it's invigorating. And I honestly believe that this world could change if more women did that. And that's my goal. My goal is really to empower more women so that this world changes through their actions. Because when women show up for themselves, when women are more bold and more proud and show up proudly, boldly, and fiercely, it impacts the communities around them, whether it's their family, their extended families, they're all affected. And that puts out, can you imagine the world if we all showed up for ourselves? A lot of us are just kind of like, oh, I don't know. And then we have all these different fears. But what's interesting is a lot of us are able to do these amazing things for people in our lives. Like we'll do it for our children, we can do it for our spouse, we can do it at the workplace. But when it comes to doing it for ourselves, we kind of hesitate. We're like, I'm not sure I don't want to do that. Like really, like why not? I I'm really on a mission to empower more women to show up for themselves, to realize that there's so much more in life. And sometimes it's difficult because people look at you and think, well, your life looks perfect. It seems perfect, but you don't feel the perfection. You don't feel that it's perfect. And so when you don't have that support, you kind of feel like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing it. And then you get people saying, what's wrong with you? Your life looks perfect. Just chill and relax. But you don't want to chill and relax because at the end of the night, you're the one that's feeling, oh, I need more. There's more to it. Yeah. And so this is one of the things I help women do. Like, come join my community. Let's help support you because I know it's hard when you don't have a community. I remember when I was about 2021, a friend of mine, he had told me to go apply for a job somewhere at Harrods. And if you're familiar with Harrods, and if you're not familiar with Harrods, Harrods is an amazing, very prestigious store in London. It's where the Queen shops, the royal family goes. It's a very prestigious shop in the UK. So my friend had told me, they have openings, go apply. And I was like, okay. And this is me, 21 years old. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go apply. And then I had told a few friends of mine at the time, and they were like, oh no, no, no. They're not going to take you. They don't take people like you. And I was like taken aback. I was like, what does that mean? He's like, no, they're not going to take you. I said, okay. I thought that was interesting. But I did it anyway because my friend was like, go apply. And I thought, it'd be a great opportunity. I love fashion anyway, even though they have all kinds of stores. Like Harrods has everything. Harrods has a food hall. I mean, they have all kinds of food. I mean, they have everything. They have a record department where well, back then we had CDs and records. They have everything, basically. Everything you need, they have in Harrods. They have furniture, they have clothing, they have all kinds of different departments. So I thought to me it was exciting. I was like, ooh, I'm in college. I can work at Harrods, when I'm not working, when I'm not in college. So anyway, I did apply, marched in there confidently, like I had no care. I'm like, I'm going to apply. Even though my friends had said, ooh, that's not a good idea. I did anyway. And guess what? I got the job. And when I think back, I was like, I was fearless. I was like, I'm going to do it. But what if I had listened to my friends? I wouldn't have done that, right? If I had listened to them, I wouldn't have gone. And that's what happens sometimes when you have this purpose in your mind. You have these dreams and desires that keep coming up. And for a lot of you, the dreams have been coming up for a long time, but you keep on suppressing it. You kind of find a way, you're like, no, I'm going to suppress it. And so what ends up happening is over the years, you're like, no, and you come up with excuses like, well, I'm a mom, I have kids. This is the thing. I'm going to just tell you right now, and I'm going to repeat this for those that can't hear this. When you are a mom, you're a mom for life. You don't have it like, okay, I'm a part-time mom. No, when you're a mom, you're a mom for life. And so using your kids as a reason not to go after your goals is not a reason, that's an excuse. because you're always going to be a mom. They're always going to need you in some way. And so using that is just an excuse. So think about something else. But this is the beautiful thing about working in Harrods. One of my best friends, I met her there, and till today we're good friends. But guess what she did? She introduced me to my current husband. Well, I should say only husband. When I say current, almost seems like I had one before. No, to my husband. And we've been married for 22 years. Yeah, actually, we're going to be 23 years in on February the 12th in a few days. So think about that. If I had listened to them, I would never have met my friend. And if I hadn't met my friend, I wouldn't be married to this guy today. I mean, I'm just thinking, like, see all the different things that happen just because I decided to be fearless and go for it. So, what are some of the things in your life that you're like, oh, I don't know? Listen, if you're a woman over 50, listen, go for it. Nobody is coming to save you. I'm going to be honest with you. You might think so. You might have, helped so many people in the past. You've helped your kids, you have your spouse, you've done things in the workplace, but nobody is coming to save you today. And so you're going to have to decide for yourself, do you really want this for yourself? Do you really want to go out there and, you know, take responsibility for what you want? Because really, no one's going to take it for you. And some of the questions I want to ask you is like, what's in your world that you would like different? Like, what is in your world that you would like different that would be affected by something that you do? And this is the thing, what you do in the world doesn't mean it has to affect the whole world. It could be just your community. Like, what is it that you want to do? And why don't you have it right now? Like, some of you are thinking, I'm sure some of you come up with different reasons, like, oh, because no, I want you to be really honest with yourself. Like, why don't you have it right now? Like, really? Because some of you are coming with excuses. Some of you are not really being honest with yourself. And that's what I really want you to do. Because if you're over 50, one thing I know for sure that you have in abundance that you probably have forgotten is wisdom and experience. You have that in abundance. Do not discount the power of that. That is valuable, like really valuable. And sometimes you guys forget that. You forget that you have this wisdom and experience that you can pull out from your toolkit and use it for different things in the world. You sometimes forget that. And I just want to remind you that you have that. The 4 questions that I want to ask, I'm going to ask them in a minute, but I'm not going to go there right now. But I'm just going to let you know that I'm still going to ask you the 4 questions. Is where you are in your life right now, do you think you are pursuing your purpose? Like, when you think about your purpose, do you think that's what you're doing? Um, and do you even know your purpose? Like, some of you might even think you do, and that's fine. But I want to ask you, are you acting on it? So if you do know, because some of you might be like, yeah, Harvey, I know my purpose. I know what it is, but I'm not doing it. Now, the question is, why aren't you doing it? Like, what do you think you need in order to do it? Like, really, like, what is it that you don't have right now? Or what is it you think you don't have? Because that's really the question. What is it think you don't have? Sorry, I'm trying to find my notes here. What is it that you think you don't have that you need in order to make your purpose come true? Because to be honest with you, most times we have all that we need. We just think we don't. We're like, oh, it has to be this way and perfect. This is the thing. Perfection is overrated. We're looking at progress here, like moving from A to B. We're not trying to get to Z right away. We're just trying to trudge along, like get there along. So, what I want to ask you is, what is preventing you from pursuing your purpose? Maybe for some of you, it's like, oh, I don't know. Some of you might like, I have it, but I'm not sure how to go about it. Some of you might say, oh, I have no support. That's whatever you're saying can be true, but it's not true enough for you not to do it. And if you feel that, okay, you know what? I need some help on this. I want you to send me an email. And I'm going to put my email right in here so that you can see that. Kwavi@kwavi.com. Send me an email letting me know that you're interested in learning more about how to rediscover your purpose and passion. I will help you with that. I'll tell you, I'll share with you how I can help you. Because I think it's so important. Like, really, sleepwalking through life. I call it flatlining, actually. Flatlining through life. And flatlining through life just means you're just kind of just going, like everything is so even. Like, that's not living. Life is up and down, some excitement. Whew, that's life. Like, and as much as we always want to have the highs, honey, there are going to be lows. And we have to learn how to deal with that because that's part of life. And it's not about trying to avoid it because I really believe that success is built on a pile of failures. Like being able to embrace failures is part of the process. Like really. Like show me someone who just got became successful without any failures at all. I'm waiting. I'm going to be waiting till the end of time because you know why? It's not possible. It's not possible. There are always going to be failures along the way. It's just the way it is. That's just how it is. And so, what I want to help you understand is we all have a purpose. Sometimes you think, oh, no, all of us do. My glasses kind of, let me clean them a little bit. We all have purpose. We all do. And if you're listening right now, I want to know where you're viewing from. Like, where are you? Are you in the States? Are you abroad? I'm in Atlanta. Let me clean these glasses. Yeah. And so that's what I really want you to really consider like what is my am I living it right now? And you'll know. Like it's not a you won't be able to this is not a question where you'll say I'm not sure. This is a question you either yes or no. It's not no. There's no gray area. It's like yes, I am doing it or not at all. So let me ask you the four questions. Let's say that you went to the doctor today and the doctor said, "Okay, you have 12 months to live." So if you were told that, what are some of the things that you would stop doing in your life right now if you had only 12 months to live? What are some of the things you would stop doing? Think about that. Like, what are some of the things you'd be like, nah, I'm not doing that. Can't do that anymore. Like, when you know that you have a limited amount of time, what are some of the things you're like, done, ain't doing that anymore? So I want you to think about that and write some responses to that. I really want you to really be honest with yourself and just write down some of the things you're like, done, ain't doing that anymore. And then the next one is if you had 12 months to live, what would you start doing? So remember the first one was stop doing. Now it's start doing. Like, what are some of the things you would start doing, knowing that you only have 12 months to live? Like, really, what is it? Like, is there some adventure you'd want to go on? Maybe you'd want to write a book. Maybe spend more time with family. Like, what would you want to start doing? Maybe you want to start exercising, or maybe not. I don't know. What are some of the things you want to start doing? Like, you want to start that legacy foundation. What is it that you'd want to start doing, knowing that you only have 12 months to live? The beautiful thing about looking at your life in that way is you think about life outside of you. You think about what that means when you have a limited amount of time. And so the third question is, what would you care less about if you had 12 months to live? Like, what are some of the things you'd be like, you know what? Can't be bothered with that. I don't care about that anymore. Like, what are some of those? Maybe there might be some relationships you're like, nah, I'm not even going to invest in that anymore. Not worth it. Done. Like, I want you to think about that. Like, what would that look like? What would that be like? Like, what would that mean? So I want you to look at that. And then the fourth question, what would you start caring about? Maybe there's some relationships that you want to invest in more. You know, maybe they're just, maybe you want to start caring about yourself more. I think self love is the foundation for everything in life. Like, really, when you love yourself, listen, all systems go. Without that, you just kind of just like moving through life, kind of figuring things out and trying to wonder, am I good enough? Can I do this? And I'll tell you this though, even when you love yourself, you still have those thoughts, but they're diminished. Without it, they pop up all the time, like pew, 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 pew. Without it, it's like, okay, they might come here and then you might not hear from them you might not hear that voice again. When you love yourself, oh goodness, it's just I think we all need, and we're in February, so I really think that we really need to start loving ourselves more. And don't believe the hype when people say, oh, self love is selfish. You should, no, self love is what you need to exist in the world. When you don't love yourself, you know what you do? You're constantly doing things for others, looking for love in the wrong places. You doing things for people doesn't mean they'll do it back to you. When you love yourself, doesn't matter. You give love freely. When you don't, you know what you're doing? You use it as bargaining chip. Like, if I do this, oh, give me this, do that. No, love yourself. When you love yourself, you're free to love. It's not exhausting. It doesn't feel like it's a job. It doesn't feel like a chore. You want to give love. And you when you receive it, you receive it without any attachments. You just do it. And so my question for you is, do you practice self-love? Because it's a skill. Most of us are not born with that, especially women. We're not even taught that at all. We're taught to give to everyone else and not to ourselves. And if we, for whatever reason, decide to think about ourselves like, oh my goodness, that's selfish. That is the world telling you that. Society has this very warped view when it comes to women, unfortunately. They're not very supportive of us doing things for ourselves. And so it's up to us to change this negative narrative around aging. And I am like obsessed with that. I want more women to realize the powerful beings that they are. A lot of them don't know that. And I'm going to share a poem with you. I hope I can find it. A lot of them don't know that. They think that, oh, um, I just do. And, I really shouldn't be thinking about myself. And I think that's so untrue. I think it's important that you think about yourself. I think it's important that you realize that you have an amazing gift. And I think it's important that you give back to yourself. I mean, it's exhausting when you kind of give back to everyone. And I think the other thing too about giving is you start to feel resentful. And I know some of you can relate to that where you're like, oh my goodness, I feel like, what about me? Like, when will it be my turn? Like, really? I know that. And so don't pretend like I know how you feel. Like, you're feeling like, can I get my turn, please? When will it be my time? I know, I get it. I understand it. I feel it. And I know it's happening to a lot of you. And so I want to be able to help you with that. I want to be able to help you where you get up in the morning and you're like, yes, this is amazing. This is great. You know? Let me drink some water. Sorry, excuse me. One moment, please. Oh, yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, being able to just live life on your own terms. Like, what excites you? What lights you up? That's what I want to help women do. I want to help them feel energized. I want them to feel like when they wake up in the morning, they're like, yes, this is life, you know? And that's what I want. That's what I want for women. I want women to wake up knowing that, you know what? I'm living my purpose. I'm living my life. And listen, when you live your life, it's on you. It's not what other people expect of you. It's not what maybe the parents wanted, the kids want, the spouse wants. It's about you. You get to determine what that looks like. And I think that's a beautiful thing because you don't have the expectations of others. You don't worry about that. All you're thinking about is, okay, I'm going to do me. And that's what I want for you. I want you to be able to just say, I did this. One of the things I did was I created a book called 50 Questions to Answer When You Reach 50. Can you see it? Okay. I wrote this book because I want women to fall in love with themselves one question at a time. And the very first question I'm bringing up this book is the very first question in the book is write down 20 things you love about yourself. And I'm going to be honest with you, that question stumps women every single time. They find it difficult. They're like, oh, I'm not sure. Let me see. I'm like, 20 things you love about yourself. And it just goes to show that women have been socialized not to even think about themselves in that way. Why not? Like, why not? Now, if I told you to say 20 things about your best friend, or 20 things about your kids, 20 things about your spouse, oh, yeah, you'd be like, yeah, probably go over 20. But yourself, you're like, no, nothing. I'm good. No, I want you to get I want you to get in the habit of bragging on yourself from time to time. Like, brag on your accomplishments. Most times when I ask women, like, what have you done? They're like, nothing. I'm like, no, let's show me your resume. And when I say resume, I don't necessarily mean resume. I mean, what are the amazing things you've done in the world? In my community, that's one of the things we do every Friday. We talk about what bragging on you, like, what have you done this week? That's amazing. I love doing that. You know why? Because it allows you to focus, get your brain to focus on amazing things that you've done. Ordinarily, your brain won't do that. Your brain wants to focus on the negative part. And so forcing your brain to focus on the positive, it's great. And you feel that, the endorphins, you feel that. It releases the endorphins. So you feel like, yes, energized. That's what I want for you. I want you to have that regular feeling of knowing that you've accomplished things in the world. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging your accomplishments. A lot of you don't even acknowledge. You're like, oh no, listen, celebrating is part of brain science. Do you know that it's called celebrating small wins? Celebrating all your wins, whether small or large, is part of brain science. They did some research at Harvard where they did all this research and they found that there's actually a physiological difference when you talk about your wins in the world. Yes. When you celebrate your wins and celebrate your accomplishments, your brain acknowledges that there's difference. Like it's almost like fireworks in your brain. Like 4th of July. Yeah, like that's how your brain feels because it feels, oh, this and this. Even when you celebrate your accomplishments, you know how you feel. There's an amazing feeling. You feel that jolt of energy. That's what I want for you. I want this for more women. I will never forget a few years ago. Well, not a few years ago. It's been a while now. It's so interesting because I'm going to be 55 in next month. And I was about to say a few years ago. No, this happened when I was 47. So when I was 47, I remember like speaking with some women. What I did was I created a survey and I sent it to women who were already over 50. I was 47 at the time. I wanted to get some advice from them. And I remember the women saying, I remember getting the survey done. Oops, sorry, I was trying to make sure my mic wasn't turned off. I remember the women saying, I remember I sent out the survey and I was so excited. I was like, okay, I'm going to get all these responses. I was so excited. And I started reading the surveys. And in the beginning, I was like, okay, it's going to be exciting. I started reading the surveys and my excitement quickly changed to disappointment. And then disappointment quickly changed to heartbreak. 80% of the women describe themselves as invisible. And I thought, no, no, like, what's this? And so I decided to consult my friend, Google, and typed in the words invisible woman. And then the word syndrome came right after that. So I typed invisible woman syndrome came up. And I found out that invisible woman syndrome is a thing. And I was like, what? And as I read the words, I found it kind of interesting because as I read the words, I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel mad, any kind of, sadness or anger. I just felt a jolt of adrenaline. And all I could hear in my head was, you can make a difference, you can be the change. And prior to that, I was actually a I said weight loss coach for women 40 and over. And right there and then, I changed my niche from a weight loss coach to a life coach for women 50 and beyond. And right now I'm a life coach for women 50 through 99. And prior to that, I was actually a life coach also, but I focused more on weight loss coaching. And so right after that, I just said, you know what? I'm going to be a catalyst to have women change it, realizing that they still have so much to offer. They have wisdom and experience that they can use in so many amazing ways. And I said, you know what? I'm going to be the woman out there, you know, cheering these women on, like go and be yourself. And with that, I mean, when I say cheering them on, I mean cheering them on in whichever way they want. So in other words, if a woman decides that she wants to have her gray hair, I'm like, go for it, lady. That's all. And if she decides to dye her hair, I'm like, do you. If you decide to have plastic surgery, do you. If you decide to just keep it all natural, that's fine. You know why? Because people have freedom of choice. I'm not about making a determination of what they should do. I just want women 15 over to discover their purpose. I don't care what you do with your body. I don't care about that. I care about you living your purpose, whatever that is. And I think that the more women that do that, oh my goodness, this world would be so different. It will be. And so I'm on this mission now. Like, I want to empower more women to show up for themselves in that way and however they feel like it. Listen, if a woman wants to wear a two-piece bikini in her 60s or 70s, so be it. Like, what is the issue though? Like, really? And as I'm saying all these things, if you have comments, please put a comment in there. Like, what is really wrong with a woman in her 60s or 70s wearing a two-piece? Why? Like, there are certain rules. I remember reading this article somewhere that said, women over 50 should not have long hair. They should not wear jeans. I'm like, what? Wait, who's coming up with these rules? Like, says who? Like, okay, police for over 50 people, what are you going to do if we do that? Put us in jail? Like, what are you going to do? Like, seriously. Like, I'm like, these are, you trying to determine what people are and what they do at a certain age. I just think that's just, it's really, I mean, when you think about it, that's ageism at its worst. Like, really, when you make decisions like that. And I know it can go the other way where people are, like they lose their jobs because of ageism and all of that. And that's on a whole nother scale. And women are already going through so much. Think about it. At this point in our lives, we have menopause. And that is like, mm, that depending on your experience, it can be like nothing at best and to debilitating at its worst. Like, seriously. And in between, obviously. And so, my goal is to really help women navigate this next chapter, however they want it to be. Listen, they want to rock their gray hair, let's do it. If they want to dye their hair blonde or whatever color, let's do it. Like, I want women to be able to be comfortable in however they want to express themselves. I think that's important. I think that's a right for every human. Like, I don't want anyone telling me what to do. So go ahead. That's like sometimes when women, I know amongst ourselves, sometimes we have this debate. Oh, well, she shouldn't be dyeing her hair. She should be all natural. Says who? Listen, I know the gray movement is popular now. Lots of people are doing it, but it doesn't mean it's for everyone. If you decide to dye, if you decide to leave your gray hair and it's not something you feel inside, then you're really being hypocritical to yourself because it's not how you feel. Like, be you, do you. And I know sometimes for some of you want to go with the flow because you don't want to, make people feel uncomfortable. I want to ask you this question. What is wrong with other people being uncomfortable? Like, really? What is wrong with people around you being uncomfortable? It's okay. And I know it's uncomfortable for you because you're in it. But listen, that is the world. That is the human experience. Everything isn't going to be, hey, let's go. No, there are some things that are going to be like, ooh, I don't know if I can do that. That might be, and then I know how the feeling of, like, oh, ooh, that feeling that you got. But you know what happens though? With those emotions, it's normally right before that you notice it. After that, it kind of goes away, tapers off. And so let me get some water. I'm really getting thirsty here. Oh, goodness. This is good. Yeah. So, yeah. So, it's not, so I really want you, if you're listening, you might be getting up in the morning, waking up early, and you just wonder to yourself, is this it? Is there more to life? There has to be more. I want more. And if that is you, I really want you to contact me because I want to help you rediscover your purpose. That means that you want to do more in the world, but you're not sure how. And I get it. Sometimes, you just don't know how to, you kind of in your head, you're like, I know I want to be more and do more. I had one of my clients who, when she first started, before she started working with me, she was like, I know I don't want to be a stay-at-home grandmother, but I'm not sure what I want to do. And I get it. Sometimes you don't want to go to these roles that have just been prescribed for you. You're like, no. And she had retired. She used to be a principal. She had retired. And she's like, I want more. And I get that. You might be listening to this and thinking, oh my goodness, I want so much more than I'm doing right now. And I want to help you do more. And guess what? The world needs you to do more. Like, really, like the bottom line is the world needs you more than ever. The world needs us more than we women. the world needs us more than ever. Like, seriously, like, haven't you seen how the world is? And I also think that if more of us step up into this, into our purpose and start living it daily, we're also going to be showing the younger generation an amazing example. Because right now we live in a very youth obsessed environment. I mean, that showing them that yes, we're in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s and see what we're doing. Look at what we're doing in the world. I think that's a perfect example. Oops, my thing's coming off. I think that's a perfect example of showing the younger generation what they can do later on in life, and helping to dispel this myth of, this negative narrative around aging. Because right now it's like, oh, you're old. Yeah, I mean that's, but when they see us doing these amazing things as we get older, that is showing them an amazing example. And that can kind of make them think, wow, okay, they're doing that. I can't wait to be their age so I can do all those amazing things. Like, yeah, think about it. But it starts with all of us. All of us have a role to play. Like the other day, someone made a statement, and I quickly shut them down. They said, "Oh, you look good." No, it wasn't. They didn't tell me to my face. It was on TikTok. The person said, "Oh, you look good for your age," and I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, hold up, no." And I said right away, that is not a compliment. That is a backhanded compliment. You either look good or you don't. You don't have to pay me a compliment, but if you're going to pay me a compliment, pay me a real compliment. Like, you look good, period. You never say that to a 16-year-old. Oh, you look good for a 16-year-old. No. Let's change our vocabulary when we're talking with older people. I've seen it. And this the other thing too. Older people, I mean, I'm older. I'm going to take that title, but it doesn't mean I'm old. See, there's a difference. I am not old. I'm just older. That's it. And I know some people don't like the elderly term, and I like saying elders. And the reason why I don't mind the elders, like, if a 10-year-old wants to call me an elder, I'm okay with that. I don't have an issue with that. Because, and that's probably because of the culture that I grew up in. In my culture, the elders were the wise women. Like, they were the ones we looked up to. They were the ones that had all the stories. And grew up in Nigeria, that's what, it's like, you respect your elders. And so that term does not have a negative connotation for me. But for some of you, it might be. And so if that's the case and you don't want that, that's fine. But one of the things I also want to point out is being able to recognize when we are being disrespected, when they're using terms that don't really uplift us, when they're using terms that are almost downplaying and probably celebrating youth over us. For instance, when you hear the term, oh, 50 is a new 40. No, that's a no for me. You know why? Because that's insinuating in a low key way that younger is better. And most of us are like, oh, yeah, that sounds great. No, think about it. 50 is the new 40. They're really saying that younger is better. Like, no, I want more people to say 50 is the new 50. In other words, we are redefining what over 50 means to us. Because listen, our grandmothers and mothers, they're over 50 and beyond was so different from what we're experiencing right now. And so, yeah, let's redefine it rather than saying 50 is the new 40. Like, no, we are rejecting that. Statements like that need to be rejected upfront. Like, people should not be using statements like that. Like, no, I don't want to hear that. No, 50 is the new 50, 60 is the new 60, 70 is the new 70, 80 is the new 80, 90 is the new 90. Those are the terms that we want to hear more of. No, 50 is the new 40. No, like, we don't want to hear that. Like, why? And all these things about anti-aging, and I'm sure very soon that word is going to be banned. Like, really, because it isn't a very empowering statement. Oh, anti-aging cream. You can't prevent aging. There's nothing, and it's just nothing empowering about that word. Pro-aging, on the other hand, yes, that's a word. Those are words I can get behind. Like pro-aging. Yes. Yeah, because we want to promote the aging it's going to happen, like, really. I know Helen Mirren has a wonderful statement that she says that I absolutely love, where she says, "You either die young or you grow old. There's no in between." Like, really. But it's true. It's true. And I read somewhere, I was on Instagram earlier today, and I was reading one of my friends' a post, and she said her mother used to say, "Listen, you want to live long, you have to grow old. You have to get older. That's it." And it's true. You want to live a long life. I don't know how you can do it being young all the time. You have to get older. That's just how life is. You get to this point where you get older, and then you're living a longer life. And you get to decide how that is. Like, one of the things I tell my clients is, how do you think about aging? Like, when you think about getting older, what is that view to, how do you think about it? What are your thoughts about it? Because your thoughts about aging are going to determine the way you feel about aging. And how you feel about aging are going to determine the things that you do. Like, the actions you take and the actions you don't take are going to be determined how you feel about aging. They're going to trigger it. You're going to trigger your actions and inactions. And depending on how you feel, which trigger the actions you take and do not take, that is going to produce the results in your life. So if you're not, if you're looking at your life and you're like, I don't like how my life is, you know what I want you to do? Check your thoughts. I'm telling you, your thoughts are going to reveal your your um your results in your life. Always. Your thoughts will always reveal the results in your life all day, every day. So I really want you to think about that. Like, what are the kind of thoughts you have about aging? Are you thinking, oh my goodness, this is awful? I can't do anything. I'm just going to. And I know that when you go online and you see pictures of older women, it's not encouraging. I remember the other day I was doing a search. I did midlife, and right after came crisis, and I clicked on the images, and I'm telling you, not one positive image of a woman. Now, for the man, by the but man, nice. Like, they had George Clooney esque type men. Yeah. Like, okay, George Clooney, different types, like looking like that. That's what they had. But for the women, mm-mm, the pictures were very, very discouraging. And I'm like, this needs to change. And so we're all part of that process. It's not a one man job. It's not, I shouldn't say one man job. It's not a one woman job. We all have to be part of that process in trying to change this negative narrative around aging, especially women. And I know men can do the job too, but I want more women to step up, because I really feel women are kind of backing out, like they're in the background, just kind of waiting and watching. And I think more women need to show up. I think it'll be, it'll be amazing to see if more women show up, how this world will look. It will be like so different. Like, I just started this journey, of empowering women in life, in the over 50 and over, 2 years ago. So I'm thinking, if I keep this work up for 10 years, I'm going to be like, what is going to be happening? Like, what is happening? It's going to be so different, because I can even see changes now. I'm seeing a lot of different things. I'm like, yes, I see this. And so, and even through just my clients that I'm working with, it's amazing, because it's a beautiful thing when you work with your clients. Their impact is felt by their community. I remember one of my clients, her husband was like, listen, whatever you're doing, keep on doing it. Like, because he's reaping the benefits of her showing up for herself. Why do I think I heard someone? Hmm, hold up. No, no. All right. Okay. I was just kind of like, did I hear the door? Yeah. And so it's, I mean, I can't even imagine what it's going to look like. It's going to be like, what? And I'm here for it. I'm like excited. And God willing, I'm here to see it all. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing my best to live a healthy lifestyle. Like, living a healthy lifestyle is really important to me. I'm 54. I'm going to be 55 on March 6th. And I practice intermittent fasting, which I think works for me. I know it doesn't work for everyone, but listen, intermittent fasting changed my life. I remember when I hit like 46, 47, my body started changing. And it was interesting how I started gaining weight, but it was weird the way I gained weight. I just started gaining weight around the middle, nowhere else, like right in the middle. And I remember I was getting ready to go to a holiday party, and the dress I was supposed to wear was like tight fitting. That dress did not look great. And I was like, what is happening? And it was after that I started doing a lot of research, and I realized, okay, menopause is hitting, you're gaining weight, you gain more around the middle area. And I had to change the way I started eating. Prior to that, I was very healthy, but intermittent fasting wasn't even on my radar. And after that, I started doing it and I was like, I mean, the benefit, the progress was like, and I was like, okay, I'm sold. The other thing too, because of my menopausal symptoms, I stopped alcohol completely. Like, nope, not doing it. And I mean, I didn't really drink much before anyway, but after that, I was like, done. But I noticed my skin got better after that. And I'm not going back. I'm not going back to that. And so as you get older, you have to determine what works for you, because a lot of things that worked for you in the past, nah, a lot of them not going to work. And so you have to determine what it is that you want to give up. What are some of the things you're going to keep? And, what are you going to, how are you going to move forward in this next chapter? Because the decisions that you make right now are really for your future self. Like decisions you make now for your future self. So think about it. Like, how do you want to show up as your future self? You want to feel empowered and healthy and strong. And those decisions you have to make today, because your future self is not going to just appear strong and powerful and healthy. You have to make the decisions today in order for your future self to show up like that. And your future self is going to thank you for the decisions that you made today, depending on the decisions that you make. And so when you envision your future self, what does your future self look like? And when you envision your future self, think about what you want to do today to make that happen, because the world is changing. A lot of us are living way longer than we thought. People are living 80s, 90s. So if you're in your 50s, you probably have 30 years at least. And think about how much you could create in 30 years, especially now that you have wisdom and experience. This is not like from age 20 to 50. That's different. From 50 to 80. Think about what you can create. There's so many women that started businesses in their 50s. Lots of women. I was reading an article today about a lady, I think she's based in France, and she started her businesses in her 60s. I mean, it's like there are lots of things you can start later on in life. And my motto is it's not too late, you're not too old to pursue your dream. And you're not. Like some people are like, oh, but what if I said, listen, it's not about doing it perfectly. It's by finding a way to make it work. Maybe you have to tweak it, you know? And I've heard amazing stories of women. And this is the thing. If you're listening to this and you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, why not? Like I share inspiring stories of women in their 50s and beyond every week. Like every Tuesday, I release a video. So if you're not watching that, if you're not subscribed, subscribe today and share with a friend. But I wanted to bring up like one of the stories, like I share so many inspiring stories. One of the ones that comes to mind right now is the lady who climbed Mount Kilimanjaro after hip replacement surgery and knee replacement surgery. After that, she climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. Like, women are doing amazing things. Or the lady that I interviewed a few weeks ago, 52 years old, is in medical school. Like, she started medical school at 51. Like, really? I mean, isn't that amazing? I mean, I love see stories like this excite me to no end. Or, or the other lady who I haven't interviewed yet, but I'm going to be interviewing her, 91 years old, just started a business. And then some of you are thinking, what? Yes, 91 years old. Oh my goodness, I'm so parched. I'm talking a lot. Yeah, 91 years old and started a business. I mean, think about that. Like, isn't that mind boggling? 91 years old. Or the other lady I interviewed, oh my goodness, she was a doctor and then she retired in her 50s. And you know what she did when she retired? She had always wanted to be an actress. So she moved to New York. Yeah, she moved to New York and became an actress. She actually took classes with young people because she was like, everyone was young in her class and she would hang out with them and, learn her craft. And they started getting auditions. And because most people at that age are not auditioning, she said she got a lot of jobs, a lot of jobs. And it just goes to show she, you know, transformed her life. And this is the thing. If you have a goal, oh my goodness, I don't want your dream to die inside of you. Too many people allow their dreams to die inside of them. I don't want that to be you. And so if there's any way I can help you, I'm going to put my email there again, just in case. I want you to send me an email. I want to help you rediscover your purpose so that you can start living your purpose daily, like taking action on it. Because it's not enough for you to say, "Okay, this is my passion, this is my purpose," but you're not doing anything about it. I want you to be able to live it daily. Like, let's go. The world needs you. The world needs this special source that only you can provide. I mean it. No one else can provide that. That's you. That's yours. And I want you to embrace that. That's a beautiful thing. I want you to embrace that. So, I am just so excited about being able to empower more women. And if you've listened to this and it really intrigues you, or you're like, no, you know what, this resonates with me, I want to do this, I really want you to reach out. Don't wait another day, just reach out, because this is the thing we do as women. We're like, oh, I'll do it later. And you know what ends up happening? Later never comes. And it's like you push it, you push it, you push it. Before you know it, nothing. So I really want you to be able to, I want you to embrace this, embrace this. I want you to embrace this time that you have. And I know it's, I'm going to be, I know that, as we get older, it's hard. It's not that it's amazing all the time. There are some times when it's just like, this is hard. Like sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh my goodness, like my back, my bones are aching, and I have to stretch more when I work out. And like, I have to intentionally stretch. Before I would get away with it. Now the body's like, stretch, girl, you need to stretch. So I'm doing that, and it's not easy. And I appreciate doing it because I do see the difference when I do stretch. And so things like that. Menopause for some women, it can be rough. Our bodies are changing, and that can be a rude awakening. You're like, okay, what happened here? I see it sometimes. Now I have a lot of, I don't know what they call them, spots on my skin. Now I was like, like hyperpigmentation. I'm like, what is all that? Like, I never had that when I was younger. But, those are some of the things that come with aging. And you know what? I'll take it, because the alternative, nah, I like this. I'm here. I'm glad. Like, yes, I'll take it. I'm staying here. And so those are some of the things you have to think about. Like, how do you want to view aging? Because it's gonna determine how you live it moving forward. I put a I'd put a post on TikTok earlier today, and I said, "What is your biggest fear about aging?" And some were like, "Oh, I'm good, nothing." And then some others were like, "You know what? Dying alone." I mean, there was so many different responses. And I'm gonna go back there and talk about that later today on TikTok. So if you're on TikTok, you're not following me on TikTok, it's at Kwavi_TV. So follow me there. Actually, I'm gonna put that there so that if you want to follow me there, you can. I normally go live there also. Oops, let's see. Kwavi. Uh-oh. Kwavi underscore TV. Okay. Yeah. So you can follow me there. But it's interesting because I want to I love listening to women and hearing their perspective about aging. Like, what does that mean to them? So I'm going to have a discussion with them on there. And I goodness, as of, let me even check right now. I When I checked it the last time, I think there were like a lot of women had let's see how many. Yeah, I have like 57 people responded to it. So I'm going to check out their different responses and do a TikTok live later about it, because I want women to be able to come to me for any kind of coaching, like things that are going on in their lives. The beautiful thing about coaching is I don't need to know everything about your life in order to help you. All I need to know is, what is that piece that is bothering you? And I just need to know the facts. I need to know your thoughts on it, and I can coach you on it. That's all. Like, that's how powerful the tools I have are. Um, I can figure it out just with those tools, just asking you that and your thoughts. And I'm going to ask a lot of questions, because questions that's how we grow. And through the questions that I ask you and the answers that you give to me, I'll be able to coach you. And so if it's something you're interested in, you can join me on TikTok, or you can send me an email. I'll definitely love to hear from you. Um, but before I go, I really want you to start to pay attention to, what are some of the statements around the world that are helping to encourage this negative narrative around aging, because we are going to have to do it. We're going to have to do our best to really prevent it. But we have to show up. So when we hear statements that we know are not encouraging to us because we're older, we need to show up. Like someone saying 50 is a new 40, we need to show up and say, no, that's not working. Like we need to show up and say that, as opposed to think, okay, that's okay. It's not okay. No, it's definitely not okay. And so I want more of you showing up in that way. Like, let's do that for ourselves. The world, listen, the world is not going to save us. We need to save the world. We have the skills. We can do this for ourselves. So I want you to think about yourselves as superheroes because you have wisdom and experience. I call that, yeah, superhero powers that women have. Once they hit 50 and over, you get those. Like boom, you get that. That's your superpowers. You can use it to do anything. And we're resourceful. You've been resourceful for your kids. You've been resourceful at the job. You've been resourceful with your spouse. Let's use that for ourselves. Let's use that to change the world. Let's use it to change this negative perception around aging. And I think it's all around the world. Like I grew up in Nigeria, so things were a little different, but now it's actually changing where, you know, everywhere's all youth obsessed. Like everyone wants to look younger. And it's not just about looking young, it's the perception. That's the thing. So if you're older, you're kind of overlooked. That's the difference. Like you're overlooked. You don't exist anymore. I look at commercials on TV and I'm like, it's interesting where you don't see a lot of women 50 and over. We buy cars, we go on vacation, we do all these numerous things, but it's interesting when you look at commercials on TV, you don't see us. The only time you will see us in maybe ads for health insurance or pharmaceutical ads. But we do more than that. We show up in so many other places. But those are the only places that we show up when brands when brands decide to place ads. And I think that's incorrect and it needs to be changed. And so I'm on this mission, like I said, to change this negative narrative around aging. And I know it's going to change. It might take some time, but I need your help. We're all part of this process. We're going to do it together. We need to do it together because it's important. This is going to change the world. And so I want to go back to those 4 questions so that just in case you missed it, I'm going to repeat them for you. So the first question is, if you went to the doctor and they told you you had only 12 months to live, what would you stop doing? Excuse me. So you went to the doctor, they told you you have only 12 months to live. What would you stop doing? That's the first one. The second one is if you go to the doctor and they and told you 12 months to live again, same thing, what would you start doing? So, and the first question is, what would you stop doing? And the second question is, what would you start doing? So I want you to look at both of those and really answer them. Be very honest with yourself. Like, really, like, how would you tackle that? And I think the way in which you answer it is going to help you move forward. And then the third one is if you have 12 months to live, what would you stop caring about? Like, what would you like? No, I'm not interested in this anymore. Like, what would you stop caring about? And when you have 12 months to live, what will you start caring about? So one is what you're going to stop caring about, like not concerned about. What are the things that you will start caring about? So I want you to look at all of that and see how how you answer those questions. And I want you to also ask yourself at the end, why is my answer different than why is there a sense of urgency now as opposed to if I didn't have 12 months to live? Like, why is it different? So want you to look at that. Thank you all for joining me and listening to this. And if you have any questions, don't forget to send me an email. Truly, I'd love that. Send me an email if it resonates with you. And you can also join me on TikTok. Like I said, on the Quavi_TV, join me there. And I look forward to, and if you join me on Quavi TV, when you post a comment, just say, you know what, I heard you on YouTube. Just do that. Okay. I'd love that. All right. Take care, everyone. Bye. Let's see. Uh-oh. me go. All right. So I am going to go now. So don't forget TikTok, Quavi_TV, or send me an email if this resonated with you. Thank you so much for listening. And because you could have been doing anything else with your time, but you spent it with me. And I truly, truly appreciate it. Take care, everyone. Bye.